just to give you an idea of this piece, we've talked to several veterans, mostly from Jefferson County is what we're trying to do, obviously. We've talked to a couple nurses, and it's going to be kind of an in their own words piece. So there won't be any narration. We'll just go, from person to person to tell the story. So with the responses, it's going to, hopefully you can kind of just tell me a story, not just, one-word answers, but start, as if you were sitting down with your kids, grandkids, what have you, or telling someone else.
Just put you down here, that way we
So if you could kind of start from the beginning and tell me how old you were, what the situation was, how you got in the military, did you enlist, were you drafted, and just kind of go from there if you could. Yeah, just talk to me and whenever you're
Well, I was born and raised in DeSoto and graduated from DeSoto High School in 1966. And as most graduates, go out, try to find a job, make money and all that. Well, the war was going on in Vietnam. Several of them was, my buddies and them were enlisted to keep from being drafted. And I said, no, if you're going to get me, you have to draft me. So eventually in 1969, I got my draft notice, and I appeared up in St. Louis, and I think it was September the 3rd, 69, where I was inducted into the Army. They put me on a bus, sent me to Fort Leonard Wood for basic training, and I did my basics there. Cold, started to get cold winter. After basic, I graduated, and I believe it was in January or later, December of '69, I was transferred to Fort Knox, Kentucky, to do my advanced infantry training, and from there, I was a holdover because my dad had some health problems, and they was going to see if I could get out of the Army to take care of him. Well, they denied the claim, so right after that, I got my orders to be sent to Vietnam. So I guess it was in the area of maybe the first part of March of '70, I got my orders, and I got a plane in St. Louis, and they flew me into Fort Lewis, Washington. I think I was up there maybe 3 or 4 days. And then they got me on a plane and flew me into Cam Ranh Bay, South Vietnam. From there, I was there in the holdover unit for incoming new troops. And I was there a couple of days and got my orders, and they flew me up to An Khê, South Vietnam. That was where my home base was. I was attached with the 4th Infantry Division, 1st to 10th Cavalry, 4th Infantry, and from An Khê is where they put me on an APC. My MOS was a 11 Delta, which is a armor recon specialist. From there, I guess my first outing in An Khê was Charlie was trying to get through the wire one night. They hadn't issued us no weapons or nothing. We were sitting in a hoot chair with nothing but throw a pillow at them. And the following day, then they gave us weapons, and they sent me out in the field. They run us from An Khê. It was on Highway 19 between An Khê and Pleiku, and approximately in the middle, there's a mountain pass. They called it the Mang Yang Pass, and before the U.S. got involved there, the Vietnamese were fighting the French, and there was a mass grave at the bottom of there, like 2,000 dead soldiers buried down there. So they sent me on over to LZ Black Hawk, and that's where I got my permanent duty station. They attached me put me on an APC with some other guys, and that's where we eat, lived, fought, and whatever. So.
Backing up, you are the first interviewee we've talked with who was drafted. Everyone else either had enlisted for various reasons. Can you kind of take me through being, I guess, 18, 19 years old and getting that notice? I mean, at the time being basically a kid still. Can you kind of take me through what you were thinking and feeling at the time?
Well, at the time, I didn't want to. That's why I said I didn't want to go. If the war was winding down or whatever I could do, I didn't really want to go. Because, I'm a young kid, 18, 19 years old. I've got other things on my mind besides playing soldier. But, I got the notice and I fulfilled it. A lot of guys went to Canada. I know a lot of guys that had health problems and caused their own health problems to keep from being drafted. But no, I went. I didn't want to, but I did.
thoughts of going to Canada or any of the things
No.
you'd heard?
No,
Why not?
no. I was raised different than that. I'm a U.S. boy, so I'd fight for my country if I had to, and I did.
Any, before you knew you were going over to a war zone, did any feelings of, what were you feeling at the time? Just obviously, the possibilities of what can happen over there.
I didn't know what I was going to be doing until I got over there. I flew into Cameron Bay. I looked down there in the ocean, and there was guys water skiing down there. I thought, hey, this ain't going to be bad duty over here. Well, within a week's time, things changed. When I got on up to Ankh, when we had that first firefight outside the fence where the sappers and gooks were trying to come in. I didn't have no weapon, so I sat there and twiddled my thumbs. I thought, well, this is going to be something. So it progressed more as we went along. So I got over with the rest of the guys, and they started telling me some of the stuff that they'd been into. So it got kind of hairy. Sure did.
Can you, that first night you were saying when the Charlie was, trying to come in, infiltrate, and you didn't have any weapons. Can you elaborate on that situation? That to me would seem like you probably feel pretty helpless.
I was scared shitless. Excuse my French. Yeah, I was. What could I do? If they come in, what could you do? I didn't have no weapon. I had to try to do something. I was scared. I was scared to death.
And how was that ultimately resolved that night? Did other people, how did they not?
The rest of the troops there in the compound, they had the Cobra gunships out, and they reacted to it, and they took them out. They took them out. It was my first experience to see a Cobra gunship in a firefight. It was amazing. It was awesome, very awesome. The firepower that they have. So it maybe lasted an hour. But they were just, they were checking the perimeter to make sure that there was no other gooks, VCs trying to come in, and there wasn't. So.
And that being one of your first experiences there, I can't even. Had to be pretty.
It was hairy. It was scary. Little farm boy from central Missouri, and here I am over here and don't know what to do. So.
I know some of the other folks we talked with when they landed, obviously it's a foreign land. A totally different world and things that they weren't used to, like wire or mesh on the windows of the bus they were in, so no one could throw in.
Throw stuff in.
What was your experience like when you first landed? Were you overwhelmed? Were you, can you kind of go through?
It's a beautiful country, very beautiful country. But there again, you don't know what the people are, what they're going to do to you. You don't know. You get over there. They can tell you all you want in training until you get right there and know firsthand who you're putting up with and what they are, who they are. You don't know. It's just kind of, I guess, time being there and understanding the culture that you're in. The VC obviously, would be friends with you during the day, but then at nighttime they'd cut your throat. That was their thing. I never did get around any of the regular army, the NVA. Never did have nothing with them. Most of ours was the VC.
So after the first night the first experience you described, can you kind of tell me the other situations you were in, from that point on? What happened after that?
After I left the base camp on K, they moved me on up past the main gang to LG Black Hawk, and we'd operate out of there. During the daytime, we pulled road security with the APCs, which is the armored personnel carriers. We pulled road security up and down the road because Charlie liked to go in there at nighttime and put mines on the road and off the side of the road. So obviously convoys were going up Highway 19 to supply the northern part of the country, the rest of the troops up in that area with supplies and stuff. If they could blow out a convoy, it'd be fine. They wouldn't get the supplies. So during the day, we pulled road security, and then at nighttime, we would go back to an LZ, normally around a bridge, and pull security on that bridge to keep Charlie from coming in and blowing the bridge up. Well, then we'd go outside the perimeter of that bridge and set up ambushes. So at nighttime, we was on ambushes. Daytime, we were on road security, road patrol.
Can you, describe and take me through, as someone who's never experienced that, like the ambush?
We go out at night outside the wire. We go out there, we set up claymores. There may be 4, 5, 6 of us. If you could sleep, you could sleep. We set the claymores up out in the perimeter. So if Charlie was coming in, we'd hear him. Click the claymores, we take them out. If we do, sometimes in nights we never got nobody. Other times we get 2 or 3, 1 or 2. Bag them, bring them in for body count.
Was it a every night basis then of you facing the enemy, facing?
Not every night,
gunfire?
no.
Not every night?
No.
How, can you characterize how often?
Maybe twice a week, something like that. Because the rest of the platoons would go out too. I was in Bravo troop, and then you'd have headquarters troop, Alpha troop, Charlie troop, Delta troop. They would all go out too. Different platoons would go out different nights. Some of them would go out farther than what we did. Some of them would stay close. It all depends on what orders we got from the higher ups.
I'm curious to know, you know, what your thoughts were of the enemy. Some people we've talked with obviously say, you know, I know they were human beings, but I just didn't like them. You know, that their tactics were inhumane. And the way you described the story, bagging them up, I mean, you said it rather matter-of-factly. I mean, what were your situations with them? Did you have any compassion for them, or was it just the opposite? Can you kind of just describe that?
My thoughts on that was, if I don't get you, you're going to get me. So no, I had no compassion, none whatsoever, because they're going to take me out. And if I don't take you out, they're going to take me out. So whoever gets there first.
That makes sense. You mentioned before, you know, obviously, and this makes sense to me, being an outsider, but that, you know, the training, perhaps, you know, you get there and that might be the best training. I mean, did the training back home in camp really prepare you? I mean, can you kind of describe that, or was it? Some
of it would prepare you, but not what really come down to what the cold hard facts were. It was more of a generic training to beat all obstacles. What my MOS was, like I said, I was with the Armored Personnel Carriers. I wasn't an infantry guy, which is 11 Bravo. I wasn't one of them. So theirs would be more applicable than what mine was, because they were in the bush longer than what I was. They were actually on the bush when I was on the APC.
You know, obviously, when you see the history and everything with the war, I mean, the politics, at least back home, were a big part of it. The protesters, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Was that ever discussed over there? I mean,
no,
at all. It was
no. I never knew nothing about it. No, we didn't have no radio, TV. So all we got was word of mouth and different stuff. But the protest, I never heard nothing about it until I started coming. When I was on my way back home, there was some protesters in Japan that were, you know, hard as baby killers and all that. Well, just overlook it and go on. Didn't bother me because I know I didn't kill no babies that I know of.
What was your opinion of the protesters in general? Did you have one, or was it?
Not really. Like I say, it was a political war. I understand that now. At the time, I never thought that much of it being that political. I was given a job to do, and I tried to do the best I could. I wasn't the only one there. You know, there's other boys that paid the supreme sacrifice. There again, you know, who gets who first.
So you were in country about 3 months.
For the rest of 3 months, yeah.
Were you, and after you left, you know, you went to the second location. Was that where you were for most of the 3 months? Were you anywhere else?
Mm-hmm. They were moving us back toward Quin Yon, which is the coast, and what they were doing is starting to downsize the troops over there. So they were moving us. Originally, the 4th Infantry Division was in Pleiku, and they moved them. And the 1st Cav was in Ankh. Well, they moved the 4th Infantry back over to Ankh and moved the 1st Cav back over to Quin Yon. So they were moving us back, and we were pulling the road security between Pleiku and Ankh.
If I could actually back up something I was going to ask you about. What was the situation in leaving behind family, friends? I don't know if you had a girlfriend or wife at the time.
I got married 2 weeks before I entered the service, and it was very hard. It was very hard. Normally in basic training, she would come to Fort Leonard Wood and visit when I had time, or they would allow me to visit. And then when I was in Fort Knox, Kentucky, I would try to fly home, and then or bum a ride home every chance I could get. But when I finally had to say goodbye to her and my parents, it was very hard, because I didn't know if I was coming back, and they didn't know if I was coming back. And I knew that I was going to be gone a full year or more. So yeah, it was very hard, very hard.
Was there anything while you were over there, that you could think about or remember that could kind of keep you going, or was it
Just think about what they were when I left them. And mail call was the biggest thing, the enjoyment there was. You may get mail once a week or once every 2 weeks, but you may get 5, 6, 7, 8 letters, and just to sit down and read them. It was very, very rewarding. It made you feel very good to know what's going on back in the real world and not over there. Because like I said, we didn't have no radio, we didn't have no TV, no newspapers, no nothing.
Right. Yeah, you'd probably be kind of isolated, you would
Yeah.
imagine. Can you take me through the day or night when you were injured in battle, and kind of just tell me that?
We'd been out on a 2-day ambush, slurp, short range patrol, and I'd come in, no bath, no shower, filthy, dirty, tired, hungry. Matter of fact, we run out of seed rations out there, and I was in the Central Highlands where there were tribal people. They called them mountain yards. They carried a little pouch with them, and they had dried fish heads and dried rice. So we took the canteen, poured some water on the fish heads and the rice. We took a piece of the plastic explosive out of the back of the Claymore mines. You light it and it burns. I mean, it burns hot. Well, we heated up that water, and we got enough to eat. I got enough to eat to make it back, because we were hungry. And I ate those fish heads and rice till we got back to camp. And to this day, I've never ate a piece of rice since then. Wouldn't touch it. But anyway, we got back in to the Bridge 30, and I traded a guy a hot 6-pack of beer for the first guard, which was from 10 o'clock at night till 11. Went and took a shower under a 55-gallon barrel, non-potable water, warmed and sat out in the sun, put some fresh fatigues on, and I just kind of milled around, got something to eat, laid around, rested till 10 o'clock. Well, I wasn't on my own APC, so I borrowed somebody else's flak jacket. So I got down on this other APC with this friend of mine named Sal Duran, and we were sitting there. He was getting short. He only had 30 days in the country that he got to go back to the world. And so about 10:55, we started getting incoming. They're throwing mortars in on us and RPGs and B-40 rockets. And I jumped inside, found the flak jacket, put that on. I was trying to put my helmet on, because it was somebody else's track and then their helmet. As I was putting that on, Sal had jumped up and jacked a M60 machine gun. Mine was over here. So simultaneously, as he did that, I jumped up to get mine. RPG hit his armor shield. It totally decapitated him, and I got the rest of it all through here. So it took me down. I laid there for a minute. I seen Sal was gone. So I got back up on the 60, and a couple of those guys was trying to come through the Constantina wire, so I cut them in half, and then I fell back down, and I started then trying to call my own medevac in, and tried to call the artillery in. I was all messed up, so finally my CO come over. He's an E7, his last name was Robinson, and he said, "Soldier, sit down here." So the medic come in. He was all bummed out on dope and stuff, and he was trying to wrap my head up because I was bleeding. And I said, "You get the F out of here." So I bandaged myself up, and finally they come in. They sat there with me, and the medevac helicopter come in, and they picked me and Sal up and took us to 81st Evac in Pleiku, and that's where they did the operation on me. I lost my right eye, and I had numerous shrapnel wounds, which I still have embedded shrapnel in me. And from there, I guess I was there a couple weeks, and then they started filtering me back toward Japan and then on back home. So I got back. That was May 20th, 1970, that we took the initial hit on.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm fine.
Did it ever cross your mind that you might not make it?
No, I was pissed because they killed Sal and they wounded me. I was pissed, but I was scared too. But that's why I said the first one. Who's the first one to shoot? So we handled it. The rest of us, we started throwing aluminum flares up so we could see, and we settled down. Their main tactic was hit and run. They'd hit you, take 2 or 3 of you out, and then they'd go. So
obviously, obviously a terrible situation. When you're going through that, I'm trying to imagine is it like everything's in
you ain't got time to think. Just reaction. Just reaction. Do it. Do it. Do it. That's all you can do. There's no time to sit and think and point and holler and figure it out. Just do it the best you can. If you can't, well then you're going to be vulnerable. They're going to take you out there. But I didn't want that to happen. My whole time you're thinking back home. You got your parents. You're thinking about your brothers, your wife, all at home. This can't happen to me. Can't happen. So you endure, suck it up, and go on.
Was Sal, was he a good friend of yours? Or was
Yeah, he was. I got to know him when I got in the country. He'd been there a long time. He was in E6, been in the Army a long time. I would say he was 30 days short. He was less than a month from going home, seeing his family. He never made it. Another good friend of mine the day before, Chester Ballou, he got taken out too. I just probably a week before that borrowed $20 off of him to go buy me some cigarettes at the PX. Never got a chance to pay him back. So.
How did your family find out you were wounded?
I was sitting I was laying in the hospital at 81st Evac in Pleiku, and they come up and said, "Christopher, you got a phone call." I said, "Me?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Nah." Come to find out, my cousin had worked at the Pentagon in Washington. He was in the Air Force. He worked in the Pentagon, and apparently he got some word of this wounded soldiers in Vietnam, and it come across his desk, or somehow there was a Christopher come across it, and they asked if he knew who it was. He said, "Yeah, that's my cousin." He called me from the Pentagon to find out how I was. That was before my family had even been notified by the Red Cross that I'd been wounded. So in the meantime, he connected me with a field telephone in the hospital with my wife and my parents at home. And so all 4 of us talked. And I told him that I was doing fine, that I didn't lose the right eye, and I got a bunch of shrapnel wounds, but the good part was I was still alive. So that was very rewarding there. And then I think it was 2 days later that my wife got a visit from the Red Cross. Come beating on the door, tell them that I had been wounded, but they already knew it.
I'd imagine that's probably the first time you'd heard any of their voices.
First time I heard anybody. When they said, "Christopher, you got a phone call," I said, "Ooh, you got the wrong person." And it turned out it wasn't. It was my cousin, Jim Christopher.
Now, in going from after you had been hit by the shrapnel into the helicopter to the hospital, I mean, do you remember any of that? Were you coherent?
Yeah. I was coherent. Yeah. All I know is cold. I lost so much blood that I was cold. And Sal was laying here on a board strapped in. I knew he was already gone. So I kept scooting up between the pilot and the co-pilot, and the co-pilot took his jacket off and gave it to me and put it around me, and I was up right side by side with them, because both sides of the chopper is open, so you're up, I don't know how high, but you got all that air and wind coming in. But they did put a coat on me until we landed at the hospital. Then they took me in there.
And how long were you in the hospital, the recovery process? Did you need any kind of physical therapy or anything?
No.
How long were you in there?
I was probably in the hospital right at 2 weeks at the in Pleiku, and then they sent me to Japan for further rehab, and got my orders. Then I was probably in Japan 2 weeks, and then they sent me back to Fitzsimmons Army Hospital in Denver, Colorado, and from there I was discharged.
Can you take me through the first time you saw in person your parents or your wife?
My wife and a couple of her girlfriends drove out to Denver to pick me up, and then they gave me a 2-week leave, and we drove back to Missouri. And I had breakfast. I guess we left on an early Saturday morning and drove all night, and I ended up in my parents' home Sunday morning and had breakfast with them. And there was a lot of napkins, a lot of tears.
I can only imagine. Obviously, terrible circumstances in which you left, but we're
I was glad to be home. Yeah. Glad to be home. The war is over for me. How or I guess I would imagine it may, the situation and what you experience has changed your outlook on life. Maybe it has, maybe it hasn't, but has it? And can you tell me about that at all? Makes you a stronger person. If you endure and you're a survivor and you survive, it just makes you a lot stronger person. My opinion. Sure does.
Let's see that.
Let me back up a minute. Like I said, I was in the Central Highlands, and I don't know if I'm sure people in Jefferson County knows that Fojo's has a film processing company in DeSoto. Used to, back in that time era, they used to have billboards out on the highway, Fojo's, film processing, all that. We pulled in, we're back with the mountain yards, the tribal people. They had the hooches up on the stilts and the straw roofs and all that. We pulled up into a tribal village at one time, and I looked at that, and what it was a Fojo sign turned upside down, and they were using that for the outside one wall of their hooch. So I said, hey, man, this is where I'm from. This is my hometown. This is how it got over there, I guess, when they tore billboards down, they sent the stuff over to Vietnam, and the mountain yards used it for building material. But I took pictures of it, and I never did get the pictures back. When I got medevaced, I had 3 rolls of film at the PX in Ankh. Obviously, I never did go back to Ankh because they medevaced me out, so I never did get my pictures back. But I made a point to take a picture that to bring back home to show the Millfelts from DeSoto where their billboards were, but I never got a chance to. No.
The chances of that, it seems.
Yeah, very, very slim that you'll find something from your hometown over there, up in the jungle, up in the mountains where the mountain yard people were.
Have you, have you felt any lasting effects as far as, post-traumatic stress or anything of that?
Yeah, at first I did. Yeah, at first I had the nightmares of Sal laying there on top of me when he got bullied off, and then the day before when Chester was there, some of the Claymore goose we took out. Yeah, I had a lot of that when I first got back. It caused a lot of heavy drinking. It caused a divorce. There was a lot of that. Sure did. Now, no, not nearly as much. You think about it. You always think about it, but it's not as stressful, not as much of an impact as it was when I first came back. When I came back, I was ornery. I was mean. I survived Vietnam. I didn't care. I didn't care about nobody. So, but since then, no. I've got a very loving wife now and 2 boys, and no. But you still think about it. It's always there. As with anybody that's been in war, or any war veteran that's been in combat situations, they'll think about it. Sure will.
Is there anything you wanted to-
When you answer these, please look at Matt, though.
Oh.
Like, I guess my big thing is, and it might be hard to do for you, but, I mean, take us back to one of those firefights. It doesn't necessarily have to be the one that you, I mean, for Matt and I or somebody else at home watching this, I mean, what are the sights, the smells? How long do these last? And if you see somebody that you point a rifle at and shoot them, what is that, I mean, what emotions, those kinds of things? If you can.
There's a lot of movies out there that reenactment of what the actual war was like, but you don't have the smell of the gunpowder, the smell of the blood, the cry of the death to realize that it's really real. My first ambush, I was scared to death. I was actually shaken. I was absolutely shaken. But then you get to thinking, and you got your older veterans there. They're the ones that put you under their arm, under their wing, and tell you, this is what it's going to be. Either it's going to be you, or it's going to be them. So you click it, pull the trigger, whatever it takes. That first time out, I probably emptied 2 or 3 clips on one person. I don't even know if I hit him or not. But it's just, you're scared. You're scared to death. But you got to do it, or he's going to be doing the same thing to you. The bad part, like I said before about bagging them, you may be picking up pieces. Or, a claymore is going to cut you whichever way you got it angled. It's going to cut you in half here, or it's going to take you from your knees down. It's going to take you completely out. And you're going to sit there and pick up pieces and put them in a bag and bring them in. That's the hard part. And the even harder part is if you have to pick up one of your buddies and pull them in. That's where it's hard, where they die right there by you. That's hard. Very hard.
If you're able to, and I know it's emotional, how many friends, and obviously there's probably people that you fought with that there's probably hundreds of people that you fought with, but how many friends didn't make it back? I mean, people that you knew intimately because you shared a hooch with them or you shared an armored vehicle. I mean, you don't have to go through all of them, but how many were there, and what are some of their names, and describe them?
Well, I guess my main 2 have been Chester, who died the day before I got wounded, and then Sal. But there was another little guy, and I'm trying to find him right now. Them 2 was the main ones I got that didn't make it back. The other ones, I don't know what happened after I left over there. There was one guy that was with Chester that was totally blinded, lost both eyes. And I met up with him in Japan as we was coming back. And at the time, all I know, his name was Baldy, because he had his head shaved. And since that time, I've been trying to locate him. We was on the same bird coming back to the world, and they dropped me and Fitzsimmons in Denver, and they took him on over to Walter Reed in D.C., and I've never been able to find him. I've been out searching the internet. I've had some guys from the 4IDs, 4th Infantry Division, trying to trace where he was, but I don't know. I don't know whatever happened to him. But I'd like to find him, because he used to hang on to my sleeve of my shirt whenever we go in Japan. When we was in Japan, we go to the NCO club. He'd hang on to my shirt, because I couldn't lead him around. And then we got the same bird coming back, and I say they dropped me in Denver. They took him on D.C. But the 2 closest ones probably been Chester and Chester and then Sal, in that order. I had some letters from a guy in St. Charles, name of Bob Gardner, and we communicated after I got back in the States. And he was still over there. We communicated about it. We got a few letters, and then all of a sudden, he quit writing, and I quit writing. We never communicated anymore. And I tried to hook up with him probably 15 years ago, and I never could. So I don't know where he's at either. No idea. So I guess in answer to your question, some of the old guys, the people I was with over there, we haven't had no communication since we left over there. Which is sad. Which is sad, the stuff that we went through.
Okay, I have, I guess, 2 more questions myself, and I guess the first being, obviously, you were injured. A lot of guys came back, they were not injured. A lot of guys were drafted in the Army and didn't even end up in Vietnam. Do you feel that do you feel fortunate to be back, or do you feel like, oh man, I'm the one that took the brunt of it? I mean, how do you feel personally about the situation that you went through?
I guess on that, I feel fortunate that I'm alive. I'm glad that I served. They called me to do a job. I did my job the best of my ability. I did get wounded. I did make it home. I did not have to pay the ultimate sacrifice. Other ones did. And I'm just fortunate that the good Lord was looking over me and brought me back home. Even though I'm not 100%, I'm back here. You go to the VA hospital, you see people up there in a lot worse shape than what I am. But we're all home, though.
Okay, and then I guess the last question I have, I don't know if Matt has any more, but you say you think about it all the time. What are some of the little things during the day? Is it a sight? Is it a smell? Is it a person? What makes you think about your time in Vietnam?
The hardest time I have when I think about the combat part of it is the 4th of July. Fireworks going off. All the instant, or if there's a loud bang right here, I'm down. I'm awake. It's just that internal reaction that I guess it's automatic from the combat, from being out. You never know. You'll notice also that I always try to keep my back to a wall, because you don't know what's behind you. When you get in ambush situations, you want to know, what's in your perimeter, where it's at. So.
Unless there's anything else you'd like to add.
No, I just like to see more veterans come forth and talk. A lot of them, it took me a long time to talk, but it's May 20th, 08 coming up, so it's been, 38 years since this all happened, and I can talk about it now. A lot of times it gets a little hard, but a lot of veterans out there need to step forward, let it loose, let it out. Don't hold it back any longer if you have to, or can't, come and talk. They have support groups that will do that, but this is just as good as anything as far as I'm concerned. Talking with you, Matt. So.
Well, again, we appreciate your willingness to come in and talk about it. I understand it's obviously can be difficult.
It is.
To talk about some of those memories from over there.
Not as bad as it used to be, but the emotions, the thought, the pain is also there. It's just not as bad as it used to be.